Hello. Welcome. It's me, Maddie, and this is the podcast. The only podcast ever made ever. What's up? So, I guess we'll just get into it. I really don't have much to say. I haven't done much recently, so this is going to be like topic central over here because nothing much about me. Maybe I'll think of something that I did, but I was like, what have I done? I was looking at my planner and I was like, wait. That's the thing about like starting or like doing habits over and over again. Like everyone talks about how good it is to like have habits and do the same thing every day, but then you're like, wait, like I'm actually just doing the same thing every day, which is good, but then you're like, wait, where's the spice? Like there's no spice to my life. Add a little bit of spice to your life. Isn't that Spice Girls like saying? Anyway, so that's kind of there's like it's tough because there are like downsides to everything, but it's at the same time I'm like, whoa, I've actually stuck to like habits that I've wanted to build. But then it's like, do you want to hear about me walking on the treadmill every day? Like, I don't think so. Like, there's not much to say about that. Um, yeah. What happened to the Spice Girls? I didn't really grow up with the Spice Girls. That was after, or that was before my time. Um, but I was obsessed with like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears. Like I loved all of them, but I don't know what happened to the Spice Girls. Were they British? They were British, weren't they? I think some of them were British. Maybe that's why. Like that whole like Robbie Williams thing with that movie that came out that was about him, and people were like, who is this? Because he's like really famous over in Europe or Great Britain, and people here like don't really know who he is. But I did, of course. I knew who Robbie Williams was because of One Direction. Because I believe they sang a song together on the X Factor together. I just said together twice, but they sang on the stage a song together on the X Factor. And that's how I know who that is. Also, I feel like I know a lot about British terms and things because of that and because of like the British YouTubers that I would watch. Like Ed Sheeran. I found out who Ed Sheeran was earlier than a lot of the United States because One Direction mentioned them once in an interview, and they weren't really known. Like they hadn't come over to the state, or he hadn't come over to the States really. Um, so that's fun. Like I'm like, I knew who Ed Sheeran was before y'all. Like it's whatever, it's whatever. Like that first album, the stuff that I was listening to was like that album was like sad and depressing. But I was like so into it because I didn't really get it. You know, you can listen to stuff that's like really sad as like a younger person and not have it affect you really because it's like it's just a pretty song like, but some of his songs are like really really sad. And I feel like Ed Sheeran became the big like powerhouse that he is known to be today, partly because of what's it called, Thinking Out Loud, that song that plays at every single wedding. I think that is the number one wedding song. Like people love to have that song at their wedding. And it is a pretty song. Like, I get, like, that is a wedding song. I wonder if he wrote that thinking, like, someone down in Mississippi is going to be using this as their wedding song. Um, but me personally, I don't think I could, because I've seen it done too many times, and that song got so overplayed on the radio. It got so over. But I do have specific songs that I would like to play at my wedding. Um and I thought about it the other day. I was like, I need to make a playlist, but that would be kind of embarrassing. But I think it, have some Pride and Prejudice songs on there, like a little bit of Casey Musgraves, um, stuff like that. That's, you know, it's hard to pick songs to play at your wedding because you want other people to kind of know it, but at the same time, you want it to be special to you. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. I've seen those lists of those people that like make a list of like do not play songs, like the Cupid Shuffle and all that. But like that actually sounds kind of fun because like everyone can join in because they all know it. But it's actually like a super annoying song, and it gives me flashbacks to doing that dance and thinking that I was like to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, and just thinking that I was killing it. I really was, or I felt like I was. But I was thinking about the other day, when I'm in like social situations, um and it's like couples or just like families around me, and I know that we're all like at the end of the night, or like, at the end of our time together, we all go our separate ways. And I always think about this, that everyone, like, a lot of people have like that person that they, when they go home, they debrief, if you will. I feel like that is a good word for that. Like, they debrief about where you just were, or when you were all together. And a lot of people have that person or those people that, when they're going home, that they're going to talk about what happened here tonight. Like, I just think that's crazy because I've never really had that. And so I just kind of think to myself, like, oh, that was fun, or like, oh, that was kind of awkward, or like that happened. And like, I'll have people that I can talk to, but I don't really like have someone where I'm like, you need to hear about what happened. Like, you need to hear about what happened tonight. Because, I'm not going to call someone and tell them about my night, which is probably not good. But, I don't know. Like, I just think especially about like couples like my age too, like after we all hang out, they're gonna talk about what we did here tonight, like what we were doing. I just think that's crazy, and that used to be like a bad thing, and it used to kind of freak me out because I would be like, what if they're talking about me? Like, what are they saying about me? Because I know that they're probably gonna be like, oh, she was kind of weird then. But then I don't really think that way as much anymore, which is helpful when you stop like putting the spotlight on yourself and realizing that no one like really cares. And if they do, then it doesn't really matter. But now I think of it as like a really sweet thing. I think that's a really cool thing that a lot of people, or most people, when they go somewhere, they have like their group or like their family or like their significant other, and they go somewhere and they get to come back and talk about what happened like in detail and give like all the deets. I think that's just really cool, and I think it's fun to experience that sometimes. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think about that all the time in a cool way now. I've kind of tried to change my perspective on that to where it's like, um, like they're not talking about me. And if they are, that's fine. But like, I want to know what they're talking about, like about other stuff. Like if you're like out eating, like I want to know what they really thought about that chips and dip. Like, did they actually like that cheese dip or no? Like, are they gonna come back to this restaurant? You know. Anyway, so okay, I've been seeing all these videos at concerts, like Zayn. We always bring it back to One Direction, but he's on tour right now, and he's like one of the only people that I know of that is like currently on tour that I follow. So Zayn is on tour right now. And there has been this trend for the past, I would say, like few years of, especially at like concerts geared toward like girls and like young women, where instead of cheering, they will start barking at said singer. Um, and I did witness this in person one time. I did, in fact, at a 5 Seconds of Summer concert. That's like the only concert I've been to in a while. And not to like yuck anyone's yum, but like I don't get it. I think it may be like I'm aging out of like the fangirl, like just in it kind of thing. But I was not a participant in the barking. And it happened like a lot. I don't know how that started or what's going on with that, but I personally, I know that some of you out there that are listening to this could be a barker, and that's okay. Like, that's really okay, but I don't get it. I don't get the barking at a person. It's not really barking, but I'll be quiet when I do it, but like it'll be like that kind of sound. And what I think it is, see, I'm going to try to psychoanalyze why they do this. Okay. I think they do this partly to try to have some kind of like silly like rapport, but like with the artist, because a lot of these people, especially at these concerts where these people are like super famous and these people have like really deep like a parasocial relationships with them, like I think a lot of the people in the crowd are like, we're besties, and so like I'm gonna treat you like my bestie and be like woo, 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 like as a joke, and like hopefully they'll think it's funny. When I was at the 5 Seconds of Summer concert, I don't know if they understood. Like, they looked kind of scared, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I think it's fun when they think it's funny and they'll, go along with it. But some of them, I think, are scared. I think they're scared and they're like, what is happening? Like, maybe bring back the screaming girls. Like, I don't know. I just wonder what they're thinking about it. Are they like, oh, like they think this is funny, so like I'm gonna pretend like I think it's funny? Or if they like actually think it's cool and funny. Like, I don't know. It just depends on the person. But for me, I'm scared. I would be kind of scared. But that's just me. It's leaning toward like men at like a football game. Like, it's sounding like that. And I guess I'm just like old now. I'm not old, but like, I mean, I feel old because I don't get it. And like, the thing is that like, some things like that I don't get anymore. And that's when you really know that you're just like out of the loop. Some of the things that I don't get, I don't want to get. Like, I don't really necessarily care to get it. But this, I do want to know the psychological like reason for this, like who started this, what is the meaning behind all of this? Because this was not happening in my time. This was not something that was happening. But I think it's like just a silly thing that they think is really funny and that I just don't get the joke. Maybe it's like I don't get the joke, which is kind of embarrassing for me. But anyway, but just keep barking. If you want to bark, just keep barking, girl. Um, so the other day, I watched a documentary. I haven't watched many documentaries lately. Um, Cause especially now, like documentaries, they are, it's like 12 episodes that are an hour long and they just like drag on, like it drags. And Drew Gooden made a video about this that I thought was so good. And he always like talks about stuff that I think about and I never like say it or put it into words, but he's like saying what we're all thinking and like puts it into a concise video. So he was saying like that basically like, well, documentaries are too long, first of all, a lot of them. Or they interview people that don't necessarily need to be interviewed. Like, say, he was talking about like the Cecil Hotel, is that what it's called? The one that's supposedly like haunted and there's like a dark past with it. And they're interviewing people just who like wrote about it online. Like they're interviewing the person who made a Facebook group about this that never experienced it. Not people that have been like in the rooms and like worked there. I think they did interview some people that worked there, but like they were spending way too much time talking to people who just like wrote about it online, like on their blog. And that you're not getting like any new information from the people who were actually there, if that makes sense. So that was kind of what he talked about. I really recommend like watching that because it was like a spot on to what I have thought before. But I watched this documentary about the making of It, the movie. Well, it was partly, well, no, it wasn't about how they made the novel or anything, but like most of it, I guess, was about them making the movie. And it was like 2 hours long and I was into it though. I was like sat for this. But it was interesting. It was like they did interview like a lot of the actors from the movie and I think it was really well made, but just like some documentaries are not, if it's parts, if it's like episodes, like I can't do it. But I was watching this documentary like late at night and they were adding in like jump scares into this documentary. And I had thought for a second, I was like, do I want to watch an It documentary at night? Because I had a feeling, I was like, are they going to try to spook me? And they did. They really did. But it was usually like bad jump scares. So I was okay. But they just went through like, they gave like the deets though. Like they gave the tea behind the scenes. Like the kids were like not well behaved. Like the actors were just like goofing off the whole time. And I thought it was funny how they were just like, yeah, it was tough. Like they made it seem like filming that movie was like rough. Like it was a rough time. And it probably was. Especially at that time. Because I think they were using like, I don't know if they used film or what. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But they were also like going in on Stephen King. Like Stephen King was not interviewed for this. He was probably like, I don't want to be a part of this, or he probably didn't even know anything about it. But they were like going in on Stephen King and being like, yeah, like this half of the book was like not good, or like this part of the script was not good. And like they were going in on the movie too and being like, yeah, we shouldn't have done like the big spider thing. And like it was kind of bad. Like, okay, me too. But I kind of liked that they said, you know, we went wrong here. And that's okay. That's okay. So that was good. Um, I've been super into watching these private chefs on TikTok, and especially this one girl that she's a private chef for these people that are probably like, she doesn't show who she's the chef for. At least I haven't seen them, but it's like the nice, like it's a Kardashian level house, and you can hear them laughing in the background, and it's like that like that rich laugh, so we know that they're super rich. And it just looks like so much fun to be a personal chef. Like, I know I couldn't do it, but if I was like a really good cook, that would be an awesome job. But I think about like the people that are the personal chefs for people like that, and I wonder if they go home and they're like, wow, people really live like this. Like, this is how people live. Like, I just made all of their food for them and just came home, and like they just eat whatever I make them. But I think that girl's doing pretty well. I think she like bought a house and stuff, so she's thriving and vibing. Maybe it'll be like a cycle. Maybe it'll be like she gets a personal chef, and then and then that person gets a personal chef, and then that person gets a personal chef. That would be cool. That would be cool. So, um, so I have been feeling like, or I've been leaning into more of my millennial side. Like, I'm like a cusper. Is that a word? There's a cusp. Like, I'm on the cusp between Gen Z and millennial. And I would say I'm really about 50-50. Like, if I was not on like the internet so much, and like I wasn't doing all of this on the internet, then I would be leaning more toward millennial. And that's okay too. Like, but there are downsides to both of them, but there are upsides to both of them. But I was thinking about like, it comes out a lot in like my music taste, because there will be songs that I'll see people like be like, oh, this is such like a millennial coded song. And just first of all, that the coded stuff, like I can't with the coded. Girl, it's not code. Agent Cody Banks. Like, we're not, he's the only one that can be coded. So I was just thinking, like, I was listening to the song, Die with a Smile. And I'm like obsessed with that song. The Bruno Mars Lady Gaga song. And people are like, oh, this is such like Grammy bait. Like, this is like not good. It's so basic. But I was like, it's good. That, like, am I the only one that's like, this is a great like ballad? And I don't care if it's Grammy bait, honestly. But I just love that song, and that's okay. And like, I feel like exposed sometimes when my music taste, when I like reveal music taste reveal, when I reveal like a song that I like, or like I post something on my story. I used to do it all the time, and I don't do it as much anymore, because this is one of those things that I just need to get over, or just like, it's, no one cares. But I've noticed that I do it with other people. Like, if someone else posts like a song on their story, I will associate that person with that song for probably the rest of their life. Some people, like, I don't remember, like if I don't know the song, then I'm like, okay, I don't know the song, so I don't. But if it's a song that like I know, and then this person posts the song, I'm like, every time I hear that song, I'm going to think of that person. Does that make sense? Or if someone like plays a song like on their story, or like the song actually plays, then I'm associating that song with that person. And I don't know why. I think that's like pretty common. I think that's like a normal thing. But some of the songs that I post, I'm like, do not associate this song with me. I'm just posting it because I was listening to it at the moment. Okay, like I don't like I think the last song that I posted on my story was like One in a Million by Hannah Montana. And like that's a good song to be associated with. That's fine. But even like when I listen to music now, like there's a chunk, like when you're in a mood, or like if you have a crush or something and you associate like a bunch of songs toward them, or even worse, you have a playlist about it. Good luck reassociating those songs. Good luck. It can be done. If you play it enough and you reassociate it with other things, then I think it can be done. But like, if I have that on shuffle and some of those songs come up, I'm like, oh no, no, no. It can ruin songs. It really can. And if you associate it with like the wrong people, it cannot be pretty. But I heard someone say one time that, like, say that you have bad, like you have bad feelings associated with a certain place. Say there's like a bookstore that you used to love and you had a bad experience there, or like you went there with someone that you no longer speak to, or like someone, like that, and you don't want to go back to that place because you associate it with that they said like to go back to that place, if it's a place that you loved before and that you want to go back to, but you just don't want to associate it with that person or with that whatever happened, then it's good to go back like a few times and then have new memories of that place and associate that place with these new feelings, which is awesome. And I've done that so many times. Like, I mean, nothing like awful has happened, and like there's not like a place where anything like awful happened, but where you associate a place even with like a certain time of your life that you don't really want to remember. Like, there's this park that I used to go to, and I like suddenly associated it with like certain people or like a certain time of my life, and I was like, every time I go here, like I would still go back, but every time I would go, I would be reminded of that, and it just wouldn't be fun. But then I just kept going back, and I eventually had like new memories there, and I would associate it with just like my fun alone time and like my exercise time and just like one of my favorite places, and I think that that's possible, and I think that's a good thing to do, like to just not go back somewhere just because it reminds you of a certain thing. If you really liked that place and you want to go back, that makes sense. Anyway, I was talking about music. Speaking of music, I was like, I watched this guy that he like reviews music. He does like music reviews. I know nothing about music, but he's like super into it. And he was listening to the Weeknd album. So I was like, okay, I'll just listen to him listen to the Weeknd album. That's one of my favorite types of content, is people that like, they'll listen to music and it feels like you're listening to it with someone else, or like watch movies and it feels like you're watching the movie with them. I love that kind of content that's just kind of like, I don't even know how to explain that. Reviews, movie reviews, music reviews, you know? But it's fun. And I was like, wait, a couple of these songs are like kind of cool. And then I felt like, whoa, it was like the day that The Weeknd's album came out. Didn't know it was going to come out. I don't know anything about The Weeknd. And it was like the day that the album came out. And I was like, wait, I'm going to add a couple of these to my playlist. And like, should I post one to like be cool? And then I was like, wait. That was one of the times where I was like, I can't have people. This is so dumb. But I was like, I can't, like, this is the like worst part about posting stuff. Like, sometimes I just hate posting stuff. This is so like first world problem. But like, I was like, I don't want people to like associate me with this specific Weeknd song or think that I'm like a big Weeknd fan or like think that I'm like trying to pose as being a Weeknd fan. But I did like a couple of the songs off the album because one of them sounded like a Michael Jackson song and I thought it was cool. But just like, the thing is like, who cares if you are, who cares if other people think you're being a poser? Like, who cares? I feel like people can really tell if you are being genuine, or like the people that it matters most, they can tell if you're being genuine. And having like, I feel like recently people try to put themselves in boxes more recently. Like, you have to have a certain aesthetic, or you have to have a taste in like a one certain thing, if that makes sense. Like, if you post music, or like if you like listen to music that is not the same all the time, then that's like, whoa. Does that make sense? Or if you like wear clothes that you don't usually wear, or you like wear different stuff, like, it's not, you don't have to like be put in this box of just being like say like cottage core, like your house is like all like cottage, and then like you wear like cute like cottage stuff. You can also wear like dark colors, and you can also wear like workout clothes. You know, it's not like, I think like social media has, and like trying to fit into a certain niche and like trying to build your brand or whatever has made people think that you can only like one thing, or making you think that other people only like this certain thing because that's all they post about. And then therefore making you think like, oh, well, if I'm like versatile and if I like different things, then is that normal, or should I just like really stick with this one thing? You know, or did people think that I'm a fraud because I like music, or I like playing guitar and I also like sports? Like, there is still a part of me a lot that I'm like, am I like a fraud because I, like these different things? And does it mean like I am faking liking one thing because I like the other thing? But no, like, that's the thing with like hobbies and stuff, is that I've learned that I like so many different kinds of things, like genuinely like really different things from each other. And I think that's really cool. And that's what I love. I'm going to, what is this, like, dig this, nail this into the ground, whatever the wording is that hobbies are like so important, because you can really like, it really like shapes who you are, which is like a versatile person and not just limiting you, you know? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just love it. I just love hobbies anyway. So we will switch gears here because I love a good breakfast. I really like I love breakfast. Like in the mornings, I've like recently just loved like I'm like ready to get up and make my brekkie. My brekkie. And one of my favorite things to do, and I think because I don't do it a lot, it makes it even more special, is like going out somewhere to eat breakfast. If I had the choice of going out to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, I'd pick breakfast. If you find a little hole in the wall, like breakfast place, like you go in there and you're like, was this someone's house at one point? Like this place is falling apart. You know that their breakfast is going to be good. It's going to be greasy. It's going to be good. Like there was this place, I was visiting my friend in Tuscaloosa, and it was like this biscuit place, and it was legitimately like you walk in there and it's like someone's house. Like it's literally someone's house and you're like packed in there, and it's just like this tiny like crammed place, and I was like, I'm gonna love this. And the biscuits were show stopping, like, and like in the mountains, I can't even think of where I'm talking about, like in Tennessee, they have all these pancake houses, like up in the Smokies and stuff. They have these pancake houses, and a lot of them are like, you know, they were made because they know that you want to go to a pancake house, but there are some that like they've been there for a while, and like you know that they have that pancake recipe down, and it's just so good. And like a continental breakfast, like if you're staying at a hotel and they have those breakfasts, the people that hate on that, like, I don't get it. Like some of them aren't good, but if you're staying at like a pretty decent hotel and they do have the breakfast, like, man, like I don't care if the eggs are like runny and nasty, like it's the experience. Like you come into this place. We come to this place, like the AMC thing, like that's me walking into a continental breakfast. It's like, we come to this place for magic. Like that is me. Like you're sitting in this room with all these random strangers, but you all stayed in the same building together and you're all eating this breakfast together. It's just like a community. I don't know, like it's so good. It's so good. And my favorite thing, like at Cracker Barrel and like a lot of the breakfast places, they have that good, just like plain, like I just love a good like plain hot coffee in those when they give you a real mug too, and they come back about every 3 minutes and they're like, I'm refilling this for you. And so then by the time you leave, you've probably had half a bucket of coffee and you're ready to take on the day. And it's just so good. I'm so passionate about that, about a good breakfast place. I love it. Speaking of food, I also love like free samples. But I feel like that's becoming a dying art, like the dying art of free samples. But the other day when I was at Chick-fil-A, they were giving out free samples. I've never seen that before, but we were sitting outside and I saw her in there giving out those free samples. I think it was for like maybe like a smoothie or like a something. Or like a milkshake. But we were sitting outside and we were the forgotten ones. We didn't get a free sample. So I was looking in there and I was like, wow, I want that one sip of whatever that is. It was some kind of beverage. But yeah, they were going above and beyond there, but they don't Like, when I go to Sam's Club, I don't know. I think they do it on certain days and not on others. So I guess I never end up going on the right day to Sam's Club to get the free samples. But the one time in the past like year that I have been there to get a free sample, guess what it's so crazy. Like, the free samples that they were giving out was water with a little bit of liquid IV in it. They said, "Ooh, you're going to want to try this, girl. You're going to want to try this. Like, this is worth about 3 cents, what I'm giving you." It was like a drip of liquid IV. And I said, you know what? It's free. So I'm taking it. But it's just so funny. Like, they used to give out full on, like, pigs in a blanket, like, little things, like, food. Like, you could go around to all the different like samples, and you could have like a meal. Like, you could be full by the end of it. But this time they're like, hold on, let me stop you right there, girl. Have you ever tried liquid IV? I think it was like a new flavor or something, but I was like, wow, giving out water samples. Sorry, my voice has been anyway. So I only have a couple more topics, but one thing, okay. I hate being this person. I hate being the grammar police here. Like, woo, I'm a grammar, because I know that I don't have the world's best grammar. I try, but sometimes it's not cute. And, just sometimes you just don't know. But I feel like because I've seen it so many times recently, I can't. People saying sneak peek. Okay. Like they're posting something and they're like, sneak peek. And they go PEAK. Now, if you really look at it, that peak is like a mountain peak. Okay. It's PEEK, like peekaboo. Like, we need the PEEK. But I hate being that person. But, like, it's become an epidemic, I feel. And I feel like it has to be stopped. Like, it must be stopped. So that's okay. Like, I feel like if I make a grammar mistake, I have been corrected many times, and it is so embarrassing, and it's like so like demeaning too. I mean, like, for a teacher to do it, it's fine, or like whoever, but sometimes it's like, oof, like, wow, you are better than me, aren't you? Like, but that's one that I'm like, I can't with the peak. I'm picturing a mountain peak. Okay. No. Oh, no. But we've all been there. Anyway, so, but before I go, I have to let y'all know, this is not sponsored at all, but there is this app that I have been loving lately that, I mean, I've only been using it for a few weeks, but it has actually changed my life. Not really, but I feel like it will eventually change my life. It's called A Closet. It's like A Closet, I believe. What if I just like said the wrong app? Yeah, A Closet. And you can take pictures of all of your clothes and like put them into folders and make outfits and stuff, and you can like collage them together. I haven't gotten that far. I'm still going through everything and taking pictures of it. But it's just like so fun, and it makes me feel like the girl from Clueless, or just like, I feel like a Barbie, and just taking pictures of my clothes. And I've just done like a lot of my pants so far, and it made me realize, like, do I like these clothes? It's really like you have to really be like, okay, wait, if I take a picture of this and put it into a folder, I need to really like this piece of clothing. So I did get rid of like a bunch of my pants because I was like, oh, I have like 14 pairs of pants. And like I don't like a lot of them, you know, or before. I've narrowed it down to 14, but it was a lot more before. But it's really cool, and like I think it's like kind of AI or something because they like know what kind of pants it is and like know the fabric and stuff. Sometimes it's wrong, but it's really cool, and I just think it's fun. And so I'm gonna put little outfits together and stuff. So, and it's free, at least so far from what I've done, it's free. So I just feel like it's really cool, and embracing like my just like need to be like neat about stuff. It just scratches that itch. It scratches that itch. And just doing it a little bit at a time. It's like a fun little like weekend activity that I've been doing. So yeah. Sorry about my voice. Maybe it'll be better next time. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Illy, illy, illy. All right, bye.